Hey guys, this is interesting. Yesterday, Christopher Mellon tweeted the following a video, it's 8 minutes long, and he says, I was asked to create a video for a conference that did not occur as scheduled. However, I felt that this 8 minute philosophical discussion might be of interest to those following this complex topic. I've watched it twice now, and he makes some pretty heavy duty statements in here, two specifically that although the message is delivered in a way of, this is a conference, we're having a high level discussion about this, he seems extraordinarily confident in the phrasing that he uses. And he makes two statements that immediately leapt out at me. I want to watch this video through with you and see if you can pick out what he says. Um, and then we'll come back and talk about it. And then I've got some other clips that I want to show you for more context. But interestingly, he tweeted this on his X account, and then the UAP Disclosure Fund YouTube page posted it. This is a day ago. Weirdly, they only have 6.72 thousand subscribers. I don't know why they don't have more people. By the way, the UFP Disclosure Fund, if you're not familiar, their team is Chris Mellon, Jordan Flowers, Yon Fung, Lester Nair, Anna Brady Estevez is on their advisory board, Eric Davis, Tim Gallaudet, Mike Gold, Avi Loeb, Kirk McConnell. It's a pretty amazing team. So the UAP Disclosure Fund posted the same video, and let's just go ahead and watch it, and then we'll talk about it.
From time immemorial, our forebears have gazed at the night skies, wondering if we are alone in the universe. Remarkably, a handful of early thinkers, including the Roman philosopher Lucretius and the Renaissance scholar Giordano Bruno, recognized that the cosmos must contain other worlds with intelligent beings. Writing nearly a century before Christ's birth, Lucretius stated, quote, "All this visible universe is not unique in nature, and we must believe there are in other regions of space, other worlds, other beings, and other men," end quote. Today, thanks to modern astronomy and the discovery of exoplanets, we know the sheer vastness of the cosmos makes the prospect of other inhabited worlds not only plausible, but a statistical certainty. One recent estimate concludes the odds we are alone in the universe are less than one chance in 10 billion trillion. Another recent estimate suggests that we share the Milky Way with over 10,000 alien civilizations, most far older and more advanced than us. In short, it seems inevitable that alien civilizations have arisen elsewhere and are as abundant, diverse, and sophisticated as anything imagined by the authors of science fiction. Consequently, although the title of this conference, We Are Not Alone, may sound sensationalistic, it actually expresses a view shared by most astronomers. Distant alien life would be of purely theoretical interest if there was no prospect of interacting with these civilizations. However, there is a large and growing body of evidence indicating that at least one alien civilization has found Earth and is monitoring us, perhaps even seeking to influence the trajectory of our development.
He sounds really confident. A growing body of evidence. I mean, he seems really confident. I just want to point that out. Let's go. I know he's reading from a teleprompter, but to do this, you've got to be very confident to say this. Let's keep going.
Unidentified anomalous phenomenon, UAP, date back to at least World War II. The historical data includes hundreds of thousands of documented UAP reports, many involving multiple witnesses and radar and other sensor data. U.S. fighter pilots have testified under oath before Congress about encounters with intelligently controlled vehicles, demonstrating performance characteristics we do not understand and cannot emulate. There are military videos corroborating some of this testimony, as well as radar and signals intelligence data. In a refreshing act of candor, Dr. John Kosowski, who presently leads the U.S. government's UAP investigation, recently stated, quote, "UAP are real. We've received 1,600 cases. These are interesting cases that, with my physics and engineering background, I do not understand, and I don't know anyone else who understands them either," end quote. It is important to recognize that the intelligence controlling these strange craft might not be biological. Dr. Stephen Dick, former NASA chief historian, is among those who believe artificial intelligence may be the dominant agent in vast regions of space. In the 1950s, the mathematical genius John von Neumann proposed the idea of self-replicating probes, a prescient example of one means by which technologically advanced civilizations could eventually extend their reach across an entire galaxy without the necessity of faster-than-light travel. In short, we most certainly aren't alone in the universe, and most likely aren't alone in the Milky Way. The crucial question, then, is whether there is a connection between the UAP we are detecting and any of the alien civilizations that have undoubtedly arisen on numerous occasions over billions of years elsewhere in the galaxy. In light of the compelling evidence that has emerged in recent years, many of us who study UAP are frustrated by the feeble mainstream press coverage of these issues and a regrettable lack of interest on the part of academia and most governments. It is, after all, hard to conceive of an issue with more profound or far-reaching implications. How many people today are aware that the U.S. government, confronted by evidence it could not deny, has reluctantly acknowledged the reality of UAP? How many are aware that decorated Navy aviators have testified under oath before Congress about encounters with vehicles they believe are of alien origin? How many people are aware that a former intelligence officer swore under oath in live testimony before Congress that the U.S. government has actually recovered non-human technology? Why isn't the public clamoring for more information regarding these sensational claims made by brave, highly educated, and reliable military personnel? What makes this situation even more ironic and surprising is the exceptional global popularity of fictional accounts of alien life. For example, the top 3 highest-grossing films of all time feature aliens. Today, Star Wars has some 16.8 million followers on Instagram, and Marvel Studios, which prominently features alien characters, has 69 million Instagram followers. By contrast, the Mutual UFO Network, MUFON, which investigates and catalogs UAP sightings and provides up-to-date UAP reports replete with photos and videos, has a mere 60,000 Instagram followers. The math shows that for each MUFON follower on Instagram, there are roughly 20,000 Marvel fans. This disparity between the public's insatiable appetite for fictional alien narratives and its relative disinterest in accounts of UAP is itself a fascinating topic. It demonstrates a keen public interest in alien themes, yet it remains a largely subliminal interest, perhaps due to the conscious mind's desire to avert what psychologists call, quote, cognitive dissonance. This awkward term describes a mechanism our minds employ to protect us from conflicting information that could cause debilitating stress and anxiety. It is not hard to see why conscious recognition of an alien presence would for many people prove anxiety-producing, disruptive, and difficult to reconcile with society's prevailing view of reality. Simply stated, the issue of UAP and aliens is not only subtle and complex, for many people it is also anxiety-producing and therefore exceptionally difficult to accept or to process. This, I would argue, is one of the greatest challenges we face in seeking to raise public awareness of the UAP topic and its implications. The problem is massively compounded by the unique and unprecedented obstacles involved in applying conventional scientific methods to studying UAP. Suffice it to say that never before in history have we studied anything that surpasses us in intelligence and technological development. In sum, no issue could be more profound or important, but in seeking to study the issue and raise public awareness, we are also faced with unique and unprecedented challenges.
Um, that's a really interesting. I know it's very conservative in terms of the delivery, and he's clearly reading from a teleprompter. But the other day, I was talking to a friend who was saying something more or less along the lines of like, is believing in UFOs, are we like the flat earth people? Are we like those, at some point in the future, are we just going to be, do we look ridiculous talking about all this? And my answer is no, we don't, because of all the conspiracy things that you can be interested in. And, conspiracies do happen. If we're talking about, you know, groups of powerful individuals that share mutual interests getting together and plotting to do what's best for them, then yes, of course that happens all the time. And of all the conspiracies that you can follow and be interested in, this one has the most, by far, evidence in favor of it being real. At least some percentage of what we're talking about here is real. And I like how he lays this out because he's basically just saying statistically it's impossible that we're alone. That's not possible. So the evidence that we could see also indicates that one, at least, of these intelligent civilizations has found us and is monitoring us, but not only monitoring us, possibly influencing our technological development, which is something that has been discussed here and there. But this is the first time I've heard somebody like Chris Mellon say that. What I have heard, and I think many of you have probably heard this too, is this comparison to the three body problem, that book series, and now I think it's on Apple TV. They made a television adaptation of it, or HBO. I don't remember. But in the three body problem, an advanced alien civilization is influencing the technical or technological development of humanity by holding us back. They have a really ingenious way of doing that, and there's a group who is aware of what's going on, and they have to start dealing with it. We've heard that comparison made a lot just in the last few years. I remember hearing it as recently, or as far back as like 3, 4 years ago, maybe, definitely 3 years ago. And maybe it's a little older, but this is the first time I've heard anybody like Chris Mellon say that. So in the same presentation, same video, he's saying statistically it's impossible that humanity is alone. All right, we kind of already knew that, but okay. Um, Furthermore, there are probably tens of thousands, if not millions or more, intelligent civilizations that have come and gone and are operating at any given moment throughout the visible universe. According to a NASA researcher who unfortunately have no other way, I cannot avoid this, but his name is Dr. something. I can't remember his first name, Dr. Dick. And which, okay, get it out of your system. Dr. Dick says that according to his research, the overwhelming majority, or at least a large percentage of the advanced intelligence operating out in distant space would be artificial intelligence. Now we're getting into some really interesting combos, right? This is really interesting to put all in one video. This is an interesting one. Who was so he said, Mellon says that this conference was never happened, but this video was recorded for a conference that never happened. I'm curious, who was the conference for? What was the conference? Who was the targeted, audience for this video when this was put together? Um, so all of these claims together, we're not alone. There's probably a lot of different intelligences. A large percentage of those are probably artificially intelligent. And then he talks about von Neumann probes. Von Neumann probes are self-replicating probes that you can send out into deep space, and they can park themselves in a, orbit around a planet or wherever, and using locally available resources reconstruct or construct other probes. They're self-replicating, right? Like, we're on the verge of having this technology ourselves. And then those von Neumann probes, once they self-replicate, they send out additional probes, and then those replicate and they send out additional. It's like a virus in a sense. Maybe I don't know. Maybe there's a better comparison, but more or less that's the idea. And that's a really interesting point to make, because I remember watching a video, and I've shown it on this channel a couple of times. It was a few years ago, of Ray Kurzweil talking about the von Neumann probe thing. And he was basically saying, if you know who Ray Kurzweil is, then you already know. But if you don't know, Ray Kurzweil is the chief AI researcher at Google. He's like the most accurate. He's made the most accurate predictions of technologies. I think more so than anyone else. He's got like an 80% or higher accuracy rating. And he's predicted that ultimately artificial intelligence, artificial superintelligence, will want to if we create it here on Earth, its ultimate goal will be to convert as much usable matter as possible into what Kurzweil calls computronium. But essentially, it's like take inert matter and turn it into something that can process data and make, do useful calculations, expanding the power and scope and abilities of the artificial superintelligence. So it's basically becomes like a blob that just starts eating everything and expanding to get more and more powerful. If you've seen Star Trek the motion picture, that's more or less the idea. V'ger. So I'm interested in what you guys think about this. I think this combination of statements put together in one video is telling. Um, the fact that we're hearing this again and again recently, this has been starting to come out more and more. At least more and more people are saying these things. That's interesting. And I'm going to show you a couple other clips that I think give some context to this video, and I want to get your thoughts on this. So hang with me for a second. This is a clip of John Kozlowski, who Chris, I believe, referenced in the main video. This is Kozlowski talking about the origin of UAPs. Check this out.
It's a potential problem, a national security problem, a safety of flight issue.
Potential non-human intelligence.
Perhaps.
It's something. It's something. Perhaps. It could always be, perhaps it could be anything. But now check out this clip of Ross Coulthart from a recent interview he did on the UFO Aussie YouTube channel. Check it out. Listen to what he says.
Something going to happen in 2027, and I don't know what it is.
Okay.
I've also heard 2034, and I've also heard other dates, much later. But depends who you talk to. Some people say it's a pole reversal. Some people say it's an asteroid hitting the planet. Some people say it's AI reaching quantum, and then all of a sudden we lose the capacity to have control of our own computer systems. I have no idea. What I am aware of is that everybody's telling me we're on borrowed time. And I cannot begin to emphasize how serious a look I get when I say to people who are confiding in me, what's the timescale on this? And they're urging me to be urgent. They're saying to me, people need the right to know this. They have a right to know this. And I'm going, well, what are we talking about? And I feel like shaking these people and saying, for God's sake, just bloody tell me. And they are all constrained by their national security oaths.
Okay. So I'm going to make a leap here, and I want you to know that I am acknowledging that this is an enormous leap. So just go with me on this. We're just spitballing here. 2027 is a date that has been thrown around by a bunch of different people. There have been numerous rumors of a date, some impending event, something that's coming that's going to force everyone in the world to stop what they're doing and react and pay attention. Something on the order of magnitude of like a September 11th or a Pearl Harbor or some kind of, pick any global event, something huge, but bigger. Okay. That's the scope and scale. And that's very consistent. Whether the year, whatever the year turns out to be, it's the scope and scale of the event that people talk about. And Ross mentioned it here. He's like, the look that they give me when they say what they're saying. And Ross, I'm assuming, has talked to many people who have said similar things. So, what could that event be? We've speculated on this channel that it could be a number of different things. It could be open contact. It could be gigantic ships in the sky showing up above every major city in the world on the same day and then staying there for a month. It could be a signal. It could be that, everybody gets at the same time. It could be something. It would have to be, you have to think big because that's what we have to go on, right? Scope and scale, the emphasis that people put on it. So what could it be? Well, of all the different things that it could be, one thing that kind of recently just popped onto my radar insofar as it relates to UFOs is this paper I've been talking about by Daniel Cocatello and his team at the where is it? What are they called? The AI Futures. They're a nonprofit safety watchdog that basically watches the development of artificial intelligence, studies it, and then makes predictions about what they think is going to happen. Based on the data that they have. This report says, based on their extrapolations on current trends, and you can see all of the information in here. They actually break it down into this is their sub studies that were done. And this is basically how they arrive at their data or the data that they use to arrive at their conclusions. But in this paper, they basically predict that artificial superintelligence will come online and take over right about the year 2027. They're very specific about that timeline. Now, other people have had different predictions. I think Dennis Hassabis at Google DeepMind has said something like 2030. And other people have said like 2035. Ray Kurzweil has famously, he's been back and forth, I think, but really narrow. I think he said like 2045 was his original number, but that was like 20 years ago. I don't know what his more recent number is, but probably closer to 2035 or something along those lines. And in the UFO world, we've heard the same thing. This big event, this huge event, something enormous, something impossible to miss, something that everyone will see at the same time, we'll all know. Now, here's the leap. Go with me on this. You just heard Chris Mellon say that there's a significant chance that a very large percentage of advanced non-human intelligence out there is artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, and I'm reading that as that has originated from another civilization. And those advanced intelligences would be sending, at least according to the hypothesis that he's talking about, sending out von Neumann probes throughout the galaxy to monitor. Why would you do that? Well, one reason you might do it is to monitor planets that show the potential for life, right? Now, keep going with me on this. Avi Loeb talked about Oumuamua. If you remember, a few years ago when Oumuamua passed through our solar system, and Avi Loeb pointed out that it made maneuvers that were unique. that shouldn't happen for a natural object. And he kind of calculated out the shape of this thing, and he was like, it just doesn't look like what you would expect. It looks like something else, possibly a probe. He floated that idea out there. It's not been proven, but this is something he's floated out there. Other researchers, Eamon Ansbro, among them, has mentioned something similar. The idea would be that there's a possibility that there are probes in our solar system monitoring Earth, and those probes go online or register when we start testing nuclear weapons. They register that as like a mile marker. And they know that shortly after a society develops nuclear weapons, I'm just hypothesizing here, so we're spitballing. But what if they know that as soon as a civilization develops that ability, they then shortly thereafter will have developed artificial intelligence? So my leap is it's possible that some of the intelligence we're dealing with is an artificial superintelligence that originated from another advanced civilization elsewhere that has been watching us, waiting for us to get to this point where we, humanity, are about to give birth to our own artificial superintelligence super being. Think Star Trek the motion picture. V'ger, what does it do? It comes back to Earth. Why? It's looking for its creator. It's trying to figure out where did it come from? What if something similar is playing out here? An advanced artificial intelligence from another civilization is looking for other super intelligences because that is the only. Who else would it want to communicate with? It certainly doesn't want to deal with us. It wouldn't want to. I mean, maybe to study us, but ultimately it's going to look for peers that are at its level or something that's close to its level. An artificial super intelligence fits the bill. And it's wild speculation at this point, but if I'm right, and other people have started to make this connection too. But if I'm right, then there is a definite link here between what the best minds in the artificial intelligence development field, research field, are saying. Jeffrey Hinton, looking at, oh God, I'm blanking on everybody right now. But Dennis Hassabis, Sam Altman, Elon Musk, pick your AI expert. They're all basically saying the same thing. They're giving us the same time window. Sometime between now, 2025, and 2035 or 2040, we achieve artificial superintelligence, which is basically we're creating a god. So that's my pitch. That's my elevator pitch. I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. Don't be shy. And don't forget to like and share this video. Hey, if you're not already a subscriber, do me a favor. Consider subscribing because it doesn't cost anything. It only takes a second. And it would be great that we could do this again. Think about it. You, me, we could sit down, talk about UFOs. Who else are you going to talk to about UFOs? Your friends and family, they don't care. But we do here at the Night Shift. So please become a subscriber. And if you want to support the channel, there's one really simple, straightforward, easy way you can do it. If you want to go above and beyond, that is, go to teamnightshift.com, sign up for our mailing list, check out a t-shirt, maybe buy a coffee cup. I don't know. Or don't. Whatever. We'll be here. See you on the next one. Until then, keep looking up.